and connected. Good evening, everybody. Happy birthday, happy anniversary, happy release day, happy Thursday, happy cake, happy YouTube comments. I'm gonna check as usual that it's up and running. It says it's up and running, but I never know until I actually see myself on the internet that it's operational. Yes, I'm on the internet, this is live, and the cake is on the internet. The Zoom is also already up and running, Henning is already there, and I'm wearing my... It looks fake. It looks like when I'm standing completely still. It looks like it's in photoshopped on me, but it's real. Look, this is not a special effect. Good evening, Henning, Toratla, Mona, Stuart, Chim Chim, Cherry, Lars, and Stuart again. Hi, good evening everybody, and welcome to pre-release party 1 week before release. And Michael is also joining us on Zoom right there. I just posted a link to the Zoom participation meeting, or how do you say? There shouldn't be a password, but if it asks for a password, that's 22, the two letters, two numbers, 22. And of course, if you're watching this as a recording, I know that you know this, but still there's always somebody trying to connect to a Zoom room like 5 days later or something. This is only active during real-time streaming. That's okay, Tuatla. Your socks was very beautiful last time. I think we all are very happy in our memories with your dancing socks or at least my AI has been trained on your dancing socks for a few days now. Oh, Thomas, what is awful sync? I'm clapping. Did I clap in time? I will check also if it's okay. I just saw myself clapping there about 15 seconds later, and that was completely perfectly in sync. Shall I start also the Twitch backup stream so you guys have an alternative place to go in case it's YouTube having troubles? It's 8 o'clock, so I'm just about to start. I just saw a comment from Thomas that there's a bit of problems with sync tonight. So I'm just opening now the Puppet Error 2501 backup stream. So you can also watch this on Twitch if you're having technical problems on YouTube. In a second, I'm going to post a link to that. Okay, anyway, there you have the Twitch backup link in case everything stumbles here. It could be that it's too warm because it's too warm in the studio here. It's almost 30 degrees in Berlin today and the computers are really suffering. I'm not suffering, not yet. I have enough liquids, but I'm expecting crashes tonight and I'm certainly expecting crashes next week. Anyway, it's 8 o'clock. Let's get started. And since it's such a long evening, I will just start playing back the tracks because the extended edition is almost 90 minutes. We don't have to hear all of that, but I will just start playing that in the background. So, happy release day, everybody! Woohoo! Here's a cake! You got the music. Like a wound. You got the music. Woohoo! Okay, so the music is playing in the background, and I guess you guys will have 1 year to listen to this for yourself before the next album is there. So I'm going to take the liberty of talking atop of my own album tonight to present all of the various things I have to say to you. Put it a bit quieter in the background. This is Candy Slam Rainbow Massacre, and I saw your comment, Thomas, on Patreon just now. Yes, this has had quite a trip. The first version is more than a year old, and it's one of the first tracks that kind of built the idea for this album, where I'm taking an element and then trying to, like, this is 90s dance music, and trying to recreate that through sampling all of it. Like, this is all of the 90s club music hits at the same time, playing at the same time, and I'm kind of removing element by element by element, so it sounds like a song by itself, but it's just a ghost of all of them at the same time. This works for some of the tracks on the album, some of them not, but that was my process, and that is what I'm gonna continue with up ahead. Oh, hello, Russian. I never managed to pronounce your bump name. But good evening. I'm saying hi to everybody commenting and saying hi. And Harald, guten Abend. And Stig, good evening. And Gulax. This is so cool. I made you a cake and I also made a presentation of what's going on. This will be shown on this little screen here where I can go back and forth in my Patreon keynote presentation, which is much better than the Apple shit I had to watch on Monday. I was so waiting for a new laptop from them, but no, they just kept talking about themselves. I never do that. Anyway, so it's a 1 year anniversary for Patreon, and it's also no, it's where did I put the anyway, I have also I'm vaccinated. Pew! Finished. I'm certified to go out and meet people again and exchange bacterial floras with them. And if anything tries to invade my immunity system, I will stop. No transgression here. This is a bubble here. Please don't step into my comfort zone. That is great for I can start really planning the concerts in August and September. That was Candy Slam Rainbow Massacre. And what I thought of tonight was to go through the album, play the songs, and for some of them I will jump a bit into them and show you how they are made. I will do that with Candy Slam right now. Beep. Go there, take that one off, take that one off. And that one off. Here is the project live. This is what it looks like in Logic when I'm producing it. So here's just the voices. So these voices are like a combination of all the vocal lines of 90s club music, but many of them are playing at the same time. This is such a complicated work that I have to do it in a separate project, which isn't open now, and then I render down the finished product. There's so it's just one sample here, but that was a project by itself to make it. I can show you this a bit better with some of the background parts. Here's just the orchestra playing in the background. I'm so sorry, the computers are overheating. They are not keeping up with what I'm doing. When I put on the lights here in the green screen studio, the temperature goes up to almost 40 degrees and the computers are then throttling. They do not work in this heat. I'm so sorry. Yeah, it keeps stopping because it can't keep up. Okay, the bass is a bit less. No, it can't play the bass either. Trying a bit more. No, I'm sorry. I won't be able to show you behind the, like directly into the, because it's so warm in here. The computers are just giving up even before I start playing them. So I'm just gonna play through the album, and when I get super rich, invest in some kind of air conditioning so I can keep this room operational during the summer. And this is why there's only one more episode now in next week. I have to stop. I can't live stream in July and August when the temperatures get too warm. I'm not able to use my equipment here in because of climate change, we can say. So we have an incentive to do something about that. In the background now is Concierto de Aranjuez in Planet Hikikomori version. So you won't get scared, I'm gonna talk over the load parts, which are starting right now. This track is like Candy Slam, built on lots of samples from guitar practices on YouTube. And it's Stuart was just asking how much time Candy Slam took me, and it's hard to give like an exact number. It took a year from idea until it was finished, but compared to, for example, Every Flake is a Quake, or some of the less interesting tracks on the album, some of them are only like 3 to 5 days of work, maybe 1 or 2 days of finding the core of the track, and then 3 to 5 days of production to make it into itself, and 1 or 2 days of mixing. Candy Slam on the other side, I think, is maybe 1 or 2 months of conscious, attentive work. Here and there, I stop a bit. And what is interesting about this track, if you have bought the full catalog, which I know that some of you have, you know that this track was started back in 2004 or 5 or something. There's a very, very bad mashup of that track on the Spøkelseskladden album, I think. I just discovered that by coincidence, and I've kept having that in the back of my head. At some point I'm gonna do something with this, but I've never felt ready enough to do it. And this year I kind of, finally, this is what I'm gonna use this track for. I will get back to that later when we talk about some of the things I will go through regarding Patreon and the future. But that was a good example of some of my tracks are done in 1 to 4 weeks, and it starts on a Monday and it's finished a Friday 3 weeks later. Planet Hikikomori was started in 2003 or 4 and finished this year, so it's like almost 20 years of process, and most of that is me maturing and finally finding, okay, now I can work with this. I don't think there's any older tracks on Scavenger Royale, but I know that on Ghost Storm there were some tracks that I took from module work I did back in the early 90s with Gnosis and Demoscene work. So some of my work sometimes take forever, and a lot of that work is just waiting until I'm ready to deal with it. Transylvania, good evening, Denim. So good to have you here. One thing I'm wondering about that I'm curious to hear from you guys, and that's valid for all of the things I say tonight. I'm very curious to hear your observations and notes on what I'm saying. For example, one thing I'm aware of is that when this album is now released, you, as a general public, you have already heard 6 of the tracks because they have been released as a single. How is that? That is why I try to make it big, or like lots of content. There's 14 tracks in total. And how is it for you as a Patreon supporter? Because you have been hearing a lot of this material, so it really isn't like a surprise for you. You knew most of what was coming, and at the end, now you know my process. Towards the end, it's just kind of nudging details into place. There's no enormous revelations towards the end, and I'm curious, how is that? Because me as a fan, I often enjoy, wow, new album from this and this artist, I'm so happy for that. Then I listen to it and I'm like, that wasn't great, but I'm still happy because that's a new album. So it's hard for me to gauge expectations and value of things in this process. This is a new process for me. I will talk a bit more about this. Oh, Victor, good evening. Hey. And talk through this process. I will get started with that. We are already 3 tracks and 15 minutes into it. So I prepared a little keynote presentation here. So tonight we will listen, which we are doing right now, chat, which we are doing right now. I'm following your comments here. I will show you some of my notes of what has happened the last year, both with the album and Patreon, and the future plans for that, and observe your comments on it. But first, thank you, happy birthday, and congratulations for album release party. You have been a very important part of building this album. Not only supportive in an economic sense, you have funded the working process of this album, but also through the conversations we have been having about the material all the way back since August, and then January, and I think also in May, I posted parts of the process where you helped me with your observations and comments. So congratulations on your new album, and cheers everybody. So it's playing in the background. Thank you, Stuart. So this is now playing in the background. I'll get back to the cover art in a minute. We are now celebrating... oh, Justin. Hello, New Orleans. Wow, cool. And live streaming is also 1 year old. So live stream started, I think, 3 months before Patreon. And this has all been part of... adapting to a very fast changing reality where lots of things were already waiting in the wings in the music industry. The pandemic just kind of forced several things to the front, and I had to react very quickly and try lots of new things, which we are now celebrating with a cake after 1 year. And I can announce it's been a huge success. Woohoo! Of course, and it's a lot up thanks to you, and but of course you couldn't do that if I didn't do this. So it's all of us. I mean, we all celebrate together. Here are some stats just to tell you where we are at right now. There are 60 patrons, or technically there's 61, but one of them is me in a test account, so I'm kind of funding myself to see how it's from the outside in. It's amazingly perfectly, I don't know, it's like almost fake, but there's exactly 20 people on the music tier, there's 20 music on the music plus video tier, and there's 20 people on the third tier. This is incredibly practical in a way. It kind of makes it very hard for me to tell if any of the tiers are more or less valuable than the other, but it probably informs me that the balance I have chosen is very well. It seems to fit good with people. What is interesting is that nobody jumps up and down. At the beginning, I planned this in the sense that you would be on the... Probably, I guessed most people would be on the music and video tier, and then jump up whenever something interesting happening that month for a live stream, and then go back down to music plus video if there's nothing interesting for that month. But nobody does this. Maybe you didn't think about it. I've tried to communicate it. I'm saying it again now. This was my intention. So if you feel like 16 euros is too much per month, just drop down for a few months and jump back up. I'm extremely grateful for your support anyway. So I'm super happy with the system. I'm not going to change it at least for the next year. It brings in around 500 euros per month right now at the level where we're at. If this continues, this means it's 6,000 euros per year. And that is a big commission for me, like comparatively in relation to all the other work I do. And that means that Patreon is a very important part and a part of my work that I will put very strong focus on, because it's a big part of it, not only economically but artistically and so on. I will get back to that. Wow, I'm just gonna go through this part and then I will check in with your comments. I see all of them now. Comparatively, live streams, here's this kind of similar results from live streaming, which is also 1 year old and a big part of my work right now. Every show has about 150 real-time viewers. Sometimes it's a bit over, sometimes it's a bit under, but that is the average for 15 shows. And then within 24 hours, 150 more people watch the full performance. So a lot of people do not see it in real time, but see it quite immediately afterwards. And as time goes on, they seem to flatten out around 1,000 per episode. But that means that like for 15 episodes, that's almost 15,000 people. And around 23% of the audience donates. This number changes, of course, and there's no average on average, or I mean, I could calculate it, I have, but it makes no sense. At the beginning it was super high, then it fell down, and sometimes there are miracle donations, as I call them. 1 or 2 people can suddenly donate a lot once, then not for a time, and then suddenly do it again. And as time has gone, a lot of people have shifted to Patreon or merchandise, and there's also a natural curve on donations flattening out, I think, as people get tired of just the pandemic and live streams in general. So I don't think there's a sensible average of that. But the income in total after 15 episodes, the direct income from live shows is 13,000 euros. So you could kind of calculate that as a bit under 1,000 euro per episode, but I still wouldn't do that. That's not sensible right now because a lot of you have shifted to Patreon. So I would say, or in my budgets now, when I estimate for the next year, I'm kind of thinking there would be 300 euros in direct income from live stream episodes when I manage to promote them well. And then there would be merchandise and Patreon subscribers as part of that. So if you combine these two numbers that I just spoke about, there's 6,000 euros per year in Patreon income, and 300 times 10 per year would be 300. So there's like almost 100,000 10,000 Norwegian and euros, 10,000 euros from this online presence, and this is really awesome. This is a serious commission, and that means that I can focus on this. I can keep working on this and keep growing this. It makes a lot of sense. And it makes me very happy because I really enjoy doing this. I'm having the time of my life. It's been a fantastic replacement from like before I did movie scores or stage productions, which I hope to still keep doing. But now I have this Patreon and live stream business on as a huge part of my work. I would now check in with your comments that were dropping in while I was blah 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 business. I will get to art now, as you see. Toatla, the cake is very real. It's made of memories. Your childhood memories have turned themselves into Instagram influencers and are now haunting you forever as a cake. It will never stop until it is eaten. Yes, that's an awesome pillow collection. Oh my god. Well, it's a bit hard to see with the processing, but there you can see the impressive pillows on the sofa. It's amazing. And Michael also has a gigantic teddy bear. What was it? The bed. I can't remember which product it was, but it's gigantic. Oh, I've started working on an AI of Zoom participation. It's so screamingly creepy what it's producing. I haven't managed to prepare something yet, and I'm still working on it. But you will be scared by yourself coming up on next Thursday. Oh look, there's he's dancing with the pillows. Woohoo! It's amazing. This is the best advertisement ever, and I don't have to advertise. It's an ad-free episode. Wow, it's so fiddly to do this with Zoom. I'm so glad some of you can help me. Oh, maybe one of you wants to help me next Thursday with Zoom. There will be a sequence of battling out in everybody's living rooms, and I would need somebody to help me on Zoom to put focus on somebody, because this is so fiddly with the mouse. Samuel, good evening. Denim, good evening. That's a great question. When I borrow a guitar riff, like for Planet Hikikomori or Concerto de Aranjuez, it is I've taken like hundreds of YouTube videos, so it's an interesting conversation. Of all these 100 videos, I take maybe one note from there, maybe 3 from there, maybe 5 from there, maybe none from this. At the end, I don't know where all of them come from. At the end, it's impossible to say where they are, that they were from this. So clearly I should license all of them, but it's practically impossible to license 200 or 2000 guitar samples, particularly from private individuals that have no company or publisher or organization behind them. It also doesn't make sense in an intellectual sense. I would argue. I know that a lot of people would argue against this. This is a super interesting topic that I would love to discuss a lot. I don't have capacity to go into it tonight, but this is a huge part of what I'm doing. Like for County Slam Rainbow Massacre, that's all of the 90s club hits. I don't know, 100 of them. They are all playing at the same time, so each singular one disappears. Technically, they still are there. Technically, I probably should license all of them, but you can't hear them. They're not there anymore. It's just a ghost of them. So is that then culturally... what am I doing here? I find super interesting. I think a lot about this. It's not I haven't prepared anything for it tonight. That would be great to do like a panel debate of, is this art? Is this stealing? Is this piracy? I mean, what's the title of the album? And this is something I've always been working on ever since back from, with the title of my first album. And it's super interesting because I think when I sample, and this also I can go back to this when I show you why am I using lots of characters of me in the graphics and the new visual profile. I'm sampling me. I'm not saying something directly, I'm saying it indirectly. I've always enjoyed this, and I think it's part of my expression, and I'm aware it's a difficult issue with clearance, with sampling. If we previously, when we sampled something, when I was on a label, we cleared samples. This was super expensive. It took so much work. We spent all our energy on business administration. I think it's more important to make art than... I'm gonna stop that sentence there before I say something that's gonna come back and haunt me and move on. But this was a great question. I would love to talk a lot more about this. I have lots of thoughts about this. Thank you, Crystal. good comment. Thomas, I've tried. I tested it. I uploaded it and didn't get any notifications. But let's see what happens. Who knows? I'm quite used to have to take down things. Oh, my pleasure, Danum. I'd love to talk a lot more about this. So here we are now going back to. I like this room so much. These are the tags that was mostly used on Patreon for the last year, which shows kind of the artistic content that was with us for over a year now. Live streaming is not artistic content, but that means that most of the content we did was live streamed, which interesting. I did not expect the live part of Patreon to be as big as that. I would think video or music was bigger, but clearly this is the stats. We also see that there was a lot of focus on silent movies, which I think is partly because both I did and will do the Trip to the Moon production for you guys, and I also did the Bruderfaden performances. And there was we also spent quite a lot of time finding out which movie should I do, which is the reason for the silent movie tag being quite a lot. I was hoping that behind the scenes would be bigger, and I'm aware that it would be cooler, I think, because when I see on the statistics, those are the kind of posts that gets the most engagement. That doesn't mean that they really are the most popular ones, but that are the ones that seem to resonate the best with you guys. It's also what I think is the most interesting, but producing a behind the scenes feature is the same amount of work as producing a song, and I have lived limited amounts of time, so particularly when finishing an album, I know I had to just drop everything and finish the album, which I did. And I was hoping to show you a bit behind the scenes here, but clearly I need to produce that so I'm not dependent on overheating laptops. This is more interesting, and this is why I'm so happy about Patreon, and which is why I can confirm we are continuing for at least another year, or I mean probably for many years, but there's no danger of me stopping this. Here you see a kind of bubble of everything I'm doing. You can see the green bubble is studio work, which is producing an album, and there's the blue on the other side, which is live performances. This blue bubble, of course, has been dead for a year, but you can probably put live streaming into that bubble. Or it's its own right now, the red in the middle, because it's kind of combining studio and live. It's also combining promotion, which is a big part of my work. I have to promote my stuff to be seen and be heard. When you see Patreon here has a very nice combination of everything except promotion, and that is, I think, why I'm so happy with Patreon, because this is a space where I both can present completely finished things like right now, or work in progress, and we can discuss it. So it's part studio work, part live stream, and no parts promotion. This is very important, I think, for making me feel happy in this space, which probably is the first thing that has to happen. If I'm not happy, I won't do it for very long, except people throw endless amounts of money at me, and maybe not even then. And maybe that is why it's valuable for you guys also. I don't know, but this means that I sometimes will do bad things. Not bad like in cruel, but bad as in it's low quality, or it's clearly something I should stop doing. But I have to do it first and do it publicly, and you will kind of, what is he doing now? And then we can know that wasn't a good way. I will go back. This usually happened privately before, and then you just stop it yourself, and now you get a view into that process.
If you go down in the woods today, you're sure of a big surprise. If you go down in the woods today, you better go in disguise. For every man that ever was will gather there for soon, because today's the day that teddy bears have their beer.
I am noting your comments on the cultural appropriation topic. That could be an episode in itself. I completely agree. I'm noting this. No, really, Lost. Do you have that on VHS? That would be so great to have. Oh, please, if you have that, can you digitize it somehow? Or we can figure out a way to get a copy of that. Would be amazing. Lost just posted a comment about he still has the VHS tapes of Uga's interviews back in 2000 or so. When it already was a problem because all of my work, it's based on samples, or not all of it. I mean, Anemoia 22, there are no samples in Anemoia 22. It's all generated by AIs or samples, or I'm sampling myself playing violin. So sometimes I'm not sampling other people. It's 100% from me, but it's sampled me. Wow, great. Pishy, thank you very much. It's getting grayer and grayer as this pandemic is going ahead, and particularly now it's graying double much because of the temperatures here are going through the roof. I have no idea how I'm going to survive next Thursday. Tonight, it's not a lot of pressure on the graphical computer. It's doing nothing but playing a playlist of music in the background. But next Thursday, like, I'm expecting the worst crash fest of ever. So here you see, like, this is what Patreon and live streaming has been. The red and the white bubble has created these new spaces for me to produce, and the output of that has been super interesting. As we now look back on the previous year, this is what I did. I made the album, which we are listening to in the background right now. And I am very satisfied with Candy Slam and Planet Hikikomori. I'm feeling like I'm finally approaching something that I have been wanting to do for a long time. They're not perfect yet, by no means. Particularly Candy Slam, I feel I wish I had more time, but I thought it was better to release it as it is than to keep working on it. And I'm not speaking just about the music, but I'm speaking about the music, the concept, the communication of it, the live performance of it, and the live stream of it, because it's integrating not only 90s music, it's also integrating 90s aesthetics and the graphics, and it's combining it by using the music is made with using neural networks and artificial tools that are kind of recreating these 90s hits, and the same are AIs doing with 90s club flyers and 90s music videos, and it's all coming together in a live performance. I'm very much looking forward to test this on a stage and see how that goes, because I think this kind of music really needs a space and a loud sound system to come alive. And that is the process I've been very happy to discover through Patreon and live streaming and what's been happening over the last year. So it's been a super tough year for everybody, I know, but I'm also extremely grateful for discovering the possibilities of developing this kind of material. I probably at some point will miss this year where I could just endlessly develop things in the studio and test it out live in live streams. Let's see what the next year brings. I also really enjoy then combining this. Like you see here, I'm live on stage in a green suit with my stupid VR glasses and inserting myself into the graphics, and people are mostly watching the screen and I'm hiding behind lots of plants and having the time of my life performing. This was in November, and I was streaming this live for you guys here on Patreon, which I will do again in August and September. So this is one thing I didn't 1 year ago, or before the pandemic, this wasn't happening at all. And now we have this, and it's going to happen again, and it's a great future to build on. And I'm also very grateful actually for this. This is where I'm right now, and here I'm going to do something technically complicated, which probably will crash all the computers, but let's see if it works. That should go full screen. There you go. I am now here, but there's a bit of latency between my voice and this. And here you see, this is my studio. Does this camera also work? Yes. And this is where I'm working. And this is what it looks like on my side. I'm talking to you. There you have the Zoom computer over there. And this is the room I'm working on. You can see my desk where I'm producing. This is where I produce the album. And when I'm live streaming, I just walk like 2 meters back and do the live streaming on this green screen wall. And I am so happy for this space. I'm having the time of my life in this room, and I absolutely adore that everything is ready, everything is set up, and I never have to rig up or down or anything. It's so this space is also something that I'm very, very happy for, and that came through this year. And I'm very happy to have some new friends. I've met a very generous big media investor that sometimes pays me to play music on his corporate videos. This is Jim Bates of FaxBet AMG. And I think his products are sometimes a bit questionable, and the ethics of their company are something we could discuss, but at least he puts money into me. But it's not only happy times. Before I move on to the challenges, I'm going to check in with the comments. Denim asks if it's hard to find the right musicians for live performance. Generally not. I have like a stable team or stable crew. I hope they all have made it through this pandemic. I think they have. I speak with them regularly and they're positive. And this combines with the next question, or Henning mentions that Prachthatter is sold out. I just spoke to them. It's not really, but it's because of restrictions. They can only, at the moment, they can only sell 50 tickets to each show. The venue has a capacity of 500, but because of restrictions, they can only sell 50 tickets per show. At the moment, we don't know when Oslo is gonna open up for more audience per show. It's the same problem in Stockholm and Bergen too. So I'm super frustrated that the album is out next week and we still cannot sell tickets. So I'm kind of, it's sold out, but it's sold out because we have only 50 people per show, and I would be really happy if we could start selling for the shows. Thank you for the comment on the bass on Planet Hikikomori, Thomas. Stuart, I think this comment about the room is much bigger. I've seen it several times on other people too, who's producing like, wow, it's so small when you see the reality behind it. Abishi. That's true. The external cameras, when I use them, the latency is superb. So don't worry about it. I'm aware of it. When I'm going this camera, it's okay. New friends, yeah. All right. So I'm going to move on to the challenges of what I've been having as a challenge and what will be a challenge in the future. Time, or I think it's my talent for time. I'm ridiculously bad at planning. No, I'm good at planning, but I'm bad with estimating the amount of time that is needed. So I wrote in the status report for May, I always land, I deliver on time, but it's a fucking mayhem before we land. And it's a miracle that everybody's alive, but we do arrive on time. I'm very disappointed when we land because I was planning for us to fly around Mount Everest 50 times and do loops and drink beer and watch movies and have a lot of fun. But we just arrive on time and we never managed to do all the things I wanted. So there's something about my ambition and where we end up are never in line. But this is only on me. And the second big thing I'm struggling a bit with, it's publicity. I'm a quite a private person, and I enjoy performing. One super big challenge that I've spoken a bit with my friends and some people over the last year. I'm a very introverted person. When I go live on a stage, there's something chemical coming back to you. It's hard work, but I enjoy it a lot. I enjoy it immensely. And when I do a live show, there's this energy coming back to you from the audience that fills me in a way. When I do live streams online, nothing comes back. Comments come back. I appreciate them a lot. I have the time of my life the next day I'm reading them, but I do not get that chemical energy back into my body that fills me with some kind of physical energy. So I'm just super exhausted after being very social towards pixels. And I love you so much, but there's no energy in the air. And I'm guessing that you have exactly the same problem. You are watching a concert in your living room and you're just you there. There's just a screen and me and the sound, and you can type some comments and so I guess we all miss real concert a lot. I enjoy a lot talking with everybody and communicating, but I struggle a lot to find a balance between disappearing in the studio and creating something and being publicly available to present it, perform it, and kind of carry it as a person. This connects very well to a lot of the things I'm working with right now. So this is why I'm now launching updated social profile where I'm not in this profile, but lots of copies of me are. So what I've been trying to do over the last year is to create different personas that can kind of express me without being me. So I can disappear, I can step back and kind of let these characters do the work. And when I can kind of compartmentalize or abstrahize, I don't know what the word, I have much more fun. And also it's way easier for me to say something as Jim Bates, as Wizard or Max Buffer, and express things through that than me. And I think this points back to the way I've been working always. I say things through layers. I'm using samples or other people's songs or videos or graphics. I kind of repurpose stuff. That is how I work. And live streaming has been a good lesson, and kind of it's okay to be me too. I'm me right now telling you this. But that is maybe artistically that's not me, and this alignment has been hard on me, and it's enjoyable. It's good work. I really find the process super interesting. I'm having a great time doing it, but to be honest, that is something I'm struggling with. So I'm just communicating that, and this is why there's me. I completely wrong, or that's a part of me. So this is parts of the profiles going out now next week as part of the album promotion. So here are some of the things. I'm just gonna quickly tell you that these are the things I am fighting, not necessarily in a way that one of them are better or worse than the other, but these are the issues or the topics that I'm trying to find a balance between them. And for many of these things I'm now going to list for you, there's no right answer. It's not a binary choice, like single or album. I think both. So I will continue doing this. I will release a lot of singles, and this will in the end be an album. Should I focus on music or graphics? I think both. I looked at data now. I looked at all the statistics available to me before doing this live stream today. Like, what is the most sense? Where should I spend most of my time? And there's no clear answer. It's like the same with you guys here. There's 20 people on the lowest tier, 20 in the middle, 20 on the highest. It's the same everywhere. There's no clear no, don't do this, or yes, do that. And the same with live or studio. Should I just focus on releasing songs and drop the live streams, drop live shows? No, I think it's a combination of both of them. good timing with the song.
My heart is like a frozen piece of art. The gallery is open for forever. The painting's always ready to be seen.
So I'm fighting a lot with my own ambition, what I want to do, and what is practically realistic to pull off. This is endless for me. I'm getting slowly better at kind of like tuning my ambition to reality, but I always do mistakes there. I also struggle a lot with I love to create and make things. I hate to promote it, but this is also a battle. But I think if I can combine them, it works well. And to make something that says something versus make something that just makes you happy. This is a delicate balance again. I would say like Miracle of the Moonwolf, of the Shaolin Moonwolf. I'm having so much fun doing that. I love doing it, but there's no depth in it. While on the other side, Anemoia, possibly, I worked so much with the text there, trying to say something, and musically and the artwork also for the cover. I'm still not happy with the graphics for it, but that is like on the other side something, and possibly this track also, where there's a statement in it. And also I'm thinking a lot about paywall versus public. At the moment we have Patreon and there's paywall. The content behind that is you have to pay to access it. I will keep doing this, but I'm thinking a lot about it. And the big fights I'm having is exactly what I just explained to you, this introversion versus extroversion, and finding a balance between that, having great fun being present online, and also the need to go back in the studio, disappear for a long while. I do not make great works when I'm promoting. I need distance from that, and it takes me 1 week to shift between the modes at minimum.
Gallery is open for forever. The painting always ready to be seen.
And this so the curiosity and this kind of exploration and just discovering how things work and try stuff and build stuff versus administration is a bit of a challenge. And particularly the last year, I think for all of us to feel human and have a connection with friends and families. Tomorrow and Saturday is I will see friends for the first time in ages, which I'm scared. I don't know how to do it, but I'm so looking forward to be a human again and start rebuilding my human relationships versus just being this robot, just endlessly spewing out content and streams and signals and products and promoting them. And because I think I need that humanity to make interesting work. If I'm just making work, at the end it won't be good work. And related also with all of this is to build a community versus taking care of individuals. And I still struggle with this. I'm thinking a lot about it, but this is where I won't have time tonight because we're almost there to talk about Discord, but that is a part of what I'm thinking for the future, to build Discord stronger so we have a community. But at the same time, I don't want to be a community manager. I hate hurting people. So I have to figure out a path through that. And now I gave you this is what I'm explaining. I'm telling you what the problems are. I'm not going to explain you how I'm going to solve them, or what I often end up in all of my challenges is just blow up a dare. That's the easiest way to solve it. Or practically, I write a song about it, or I create a performance about it, or I make an artwork about it. And that is the plan going up ahead. I will keep calm and carry on. What we're doing here is great. I will keep doing this. I'm going to speed up the tempo now because there's only 4 minutes left. So for the next year, Patreon continues exactly like it is. No need for any changes. Or I will read your comments in a minute and see all of your and then I'm like, live streaming continues also. Signals continues, like pretty much what happened for the last year will continue for another year. I think it's too soon to say that the pandemic is over. I'm very happy if it is, but I think it's going to take another year to get things back to shape. So I'm just going to repeat what I just did for another year with some adaptations. Because I know that concert will start awakening. We have the August and September live shows coming up. What I'm unsure of for the next year is the frequency. That was a bit of a problem the last year, to have the kind of there's Patreon monthly, live streaming monthly, singles every second month or so, and then I have 1 or 2 or 3 live performances every month, which take a lot of effort. I need to find a better flow of all of these. The last year was a bit too much. I haven't found a path through it, but I have some ideas. This is what I'm going to spend the next 2 months thinking about before it starts up. There was here's a calendar. So for July now, we will finish the Patreon film music and create a performance of that, which will give me an opportunity to test out ticketed live streams. And then I will release that music as an EP. I saw your comment there, Thomas. I agree, EPs are a good format. Unfortunately, they disappear in streaming services. So what I've seen now is there's a trend for mini albums. You need at minimum 7 or 8 tracks to go above the flow of singles, because everybody's releasing singles and EPs. So we're packaging 7 tracks or 8 tracks as an EP, as an album. You kind of push this further up, which is, I think, my strategy also for the next year. Singles, which then become a mini album in May next year. In August, we start performing live with Ugas. I hope that within 2 weeks, sadly not for next week, but I know that Oslo is going to announce new restrictions on Friday next week. So I won't be able to say on the live stream next week how big of a concert we can do. But what I can promise you is that whatever number of audience, I will do live stream productions. Thanks to a very generous Patreon, unnamed, but I know who you are. There's an extra computer here now, and this computer, it's helping me a lot with broadcasting. But what it's particularly going to be great for is when I'm touring, this computer will handle live streaming of the concerts. So I'm much looking forward to do shows again and be able to stream them properly. We did this in November and December. I tested it with a solution. The idea was great, but the technical production wasn't. And now in August and September, the technical production will be awesome. And I'm not sure. Theoretically, I should start streaming again in August, but I think that's too ambitious. I'm gonna learn from myself and wait until October. Also because of heat. In August, it could be too warm in the studio, and I would just be tearing my hair out of the computers crashing. Pew. I'm at the end of my... At the end, I wanted to ask you guys. Many of you have been with me for a year, and you've been here all the time, and I'm so grateful for that, and I enjoy your comments, your observations, your notes, and your support so much. I'm curious from all of you, what works for you? What are you happy about? And what does not work for you? And I mean that in a sense that you see me, you observe me do something. Clearly, I'm spending a lot of energy on something, and you're like, why is he doing that? Nobody's looking at it. And if like 10 people tell me the same thing, this thing, I don't understand why you're doing it, or just don't be shy, and you can PM me, or you can comment live right now. You can comment on the recording tomorrow, or PM me or email me. Just, it's data for me. I observe a lot myself, but some things I need people to tell me. And if you're like, stop talking, like just play music, do not talk, that is a great information. I've heard that a few times, but other people say keep talking. So I have to find a balance between those two things. That is it for tonight for the chatting. 2 minutes over, but I started 2 minutes late. So for now, it's party! And we still have 2 more songs of the album. So I'm gonna check in with your awesome comments and answer all of your stop doing that answers. Martin, good evening. Suvak, good evening too. Stuart, don't worry about it. I'm so on the 22, 22, 22, 22, 22. I see a lot of comments that probably make sense when I see them in time. When I know I see a bunch of comments now that are probably, or no, not probably, they are related to what I was saying at that moment. I will see them in time tomorrow when I review the recording of this stream. Thank you, Natalie. Thanks, guys. Hi, Joe. I'm curious, has anybody figured out where this track I'm playing right now, Close and Curians, has anybody figured out where it's from? I played it in one of the live stream episodes, I think in December, maybe, or in January. Love and marriage, love and marriage. Ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-da. Haha. I didn't see when you posted that, Henning. Did you post it after I sang it, or did you post it before? Well, this is Max Buffer from Network 22 with Cyber News, and I'm here to tell you that this live stream is almost finished. I have to start working on the full party for next Thursday in a week. Very much looking forward to that. Thanks a lot for joining us here tonight. Can probably put that a bit smaller. Wow, Denim, thank you. That's a very nice compliment. I appreciate it a lot. And I must say, I appreciate all of you a lot. I'm having a great time, both producing for you, communicating with you, and chatting about what we did afterwards, also with you. I think I said it during the process, during the presentation, that what I've appreciated a lot over the last year is this. When I explain, or I try not to explain why I'm doing things, but I'm explaining how I'm doing things. So I try not to take away the magic, but be communicative about the process and what I'm struggling with, how to make it better and how to improve on it. And that part of Patreon and live streaming has been incredibly. I think that has improved my work a lot. And I'm very excited for what's coming next. I finally feel with, like I said, Candy Slam and Planet Hikikomori, I'm starting to approach something I really want to do and do well. And now it's taking shape. So I'm very curious to see where we are in 1 year. This song has so many John Hammer vibes. I tried to make it like a when I was making this, I was trying to make it like a Miami Vice news report. It should be very 80s, but with kind of 90s CNN news network vibes. Thank you, Morten. I will. Henning, yes, it will be extended. I think about 75 minutes or so, maybe 3 or 4 extra tracks, because I will perform all of the hits from the last year. Wow, that's perfect timing. We are now softly gliding out of the extended edition original tracks. The upcoming 4 tracks are the instrumentals. We have already heard those, so with that I'm slowly gonna fade myself out and leave you to enjoy the album without me chatting incessantly on top of it. Thanks a lot for listening to it tonight, and I'm very excited about the next year and keep growing this platform and the community we have together here. I have seen most of the comments for tonight, but as always I will review all of them tomorrow. We'll post this as a recording and you can comment there or write me a PM. Thank you, and you got the music.